and then you and I will have a little conversation period before you make your presentation. And so this is what I have officially about you. Dee Allen is an African-Italian performance poet based in Oakland, California, active on creative writing and spoken word since the early 1990s. Author of, we'll count them now, 7 books: Boneyard, Unwritten Law, Stormwater, Skeletal Black, Elohi Unici.
Elohi Unici.
Unici, okay. Tell me the linguistic root there. Unici.
It's Chalagi or Cherokee
Okay.
Indian.
Okay, good. That's why I didn't get it. Okay, very good. Thank you. And the 2 new, recent, released in February books, Rusty Gallows, Passages Against Hate, and Plans. And as we note, you have 50 anthology appearances under your figurative belt so far. We are very happy to have you here tonight, Dee. And just some of the things I want to ask you are, it says in your biography you've been active on creative writing and spoken word since the early 1990s. Did you start doing poetry, reading poetry, writing poetry before then?
Before then, I was writing exclusively song lyrics.
Okay.
You see, the man that's speaking before you was a musician before he decided to go over into the spoken word direction.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with several different garage bands that never made it past the garage.
All right.
So who you see before you tonight is a failed heavy metal musician. I was a singer and songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
I
and
started,
now resurrected.
and then some friends of mine talked me into doing poetry because they wanted to impress their girlfriends with poetry. Let's just say my earliest efforts at poetry were not the best at all. I did not save those because my first attempts were terrible. Poetry was a new medium for me, and I didn't know how to express myself through it the way I could writing song lyrics.
Okay.
But then by mid 1992, I started to get better at poetry. I started to get hella good.
Mm-hmm.
And then started submitting my work to anywhere I can, from newspapers to underground zines.
And so the performance part has always been there.
Yeah,
and
the performance part has always been there, and I would perform anywhere from house parties to nightclubs opening up for bands.
Okay. All right, good. And having heard you on many occasions, I can see how the musical background transmutes into the poetic expression just so easily. The rhythm, the.
I'm glad you noticed that. Hello, Gail Wasserman.
Yes, another.
Welcome to First Tuesdays.
Thank you, thank you. Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm a little late. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
No worries.
Work just finished.
We're happy to have you coming in.
Thank you. Hi, Mary Susan.
Hi. So, okay, well, I really appreciate hearing that bit of contextualizing of your poetry, and I want to just let you go forth and go ahead and proceed. I will say one thing before that. Everybody will be muted, but I'm sure they'll be making comments in the chat box.
I look for those.
Yeah, and they'll be there, and I think you'll get a lot of good eye contact and expressions too. So we're really happy to have you here, Dee.
Mary Susan, one thing before you proceed.
Sure.
I like to use the share screen feature to get this feature off the ground.
Okay, and can you activate that, Fran? Okay, we're ready.
I
You can share. Ah,
Cursive Writer's Credo. Just because you steal something, landmass, continent, vast territory, the island standing erect on top of a giant turtle's back, doesn't mean you own it. Settlement, free country, colonial territory, white man's land, the start of empire, gains ill-gotten with instruments, muskets, smallpox blankets, army swords. This is still Indian country. First ones in the bay, first villages in the bay, Yalamu, Wichin, San Francisco, Oakland. First languages used, Ramaytush, Chochenyo. First walkers on this land of oaks haven't vanished into the past, and you live on a lonely land.
we do.
Cursive Writer's Credo in memory of Richard Sanderell, the cursive writer, 1946 to 2021. Rest in peace.
Thank you.
Clear gold. "71% of Earth, 60% of us. Gathering gray clouds, streaks of lightning, thunder rolls. Gaia takes another shower, cleansed each time, refreshed by this. Absorbing into leaves from rain, deer lapping it up from woodland streams, pathway to the safety of the river bottom for swimming fish. Cities' steel veins flow it through our faucets, matrix of life, sated by this. Corporations monopolize, keep private what was formerly free, sold back to us, plastic bottles of this. Fear lingers in the hearts of some who care that in future wars, soldiers or drones will fight to the death, the final prize. This clear gold. "71% of Earth, 60% of us, of greater value than any solid gold."
Thank you.
The Grand Canyon. I knew I'd become part of something grand the moment I disembarked the tour bus, ran across a parking lot, trying to outrace a rain shower. It ended as soon as it began. I watched my final destination stretched out before me. Intermittent rainfall, the failure of slopes, the mighty Colorado River, over 500 aeons molded deep furrows, jagged buttes, time-sharpened mesas, widen an 18-mile rift across this island Earth. Mother Nature is quite the accomplished sculptress. From the eastern rim, sand-caked limestone cliff where I stood, I couldn't see the Colorado River force itself past towering walls, exposed layers of minerals. A steam-powered train from Williams, Arizona brought me to the south rim, then the full tour bus transported me to where the air had a vanilla scent around ponderosa pines and trotting elks. The chasm of my fifth grade dreams. I knew I'd become part of something grand the moment I confronted that canyon.
Yes. Grand. Grand indeed.
Being Black shouldn't be a death sentence. Rusty gallows. Reddish brown corrosion covers the whole goddamn structure like a filthy blanket. With so much widespread decay, this old tarnished bridge should have collapsed from crashing waters many floods ago. By some fluke of nature, unscathed by time, it still stands above the muddy Chickasaw River in Shibuda, Mississippi. Once a passageway to a long forgotten Clark County destination, twice an implement of execution, like an iron crucifix. This is you. Skull and crossbones etched on the bridge's base, cryptic warning meant for anyone unlucky enough to cross it, and the invisible line away from their place. Between both world wars, unspecified parties, nah, let's rephrase that. Haters strung up faux boys, 2 girls, both pregnant, young, Negro, and guilty of nothing. Hung from knotted ropes, tied to rusty girders over the coursing river like 6 black flags sailing in the gentle southern wind.
Thank you.
And now for something a little gentle. Piccolo orso, little bear in Italian. The front windowsills of houses in Noe Valley, San Francisco's high-end suburb on the hill above the Mission, are galleries for placards these days, held fast to pane glass with Scotch tape or tackboard admonishments to neighbors unnerved by the continued march of Corona, bearing words that soothe. Everything will be okay. We will survive. We will get through this. And then Mr. Teddy Bear makes his appearance. Stuffed wool, thread, and varnished button eyes comprises our friend's being. Little Teddy sits in the windowsill of a house, soaking up the morning sun, just chilling, passing small children on the street, Jersey Street, enjoying his cute, adorable, calming presence. Tiny fingers point up at their find. Little Teddy kicking it, calm and lounging next to a hand-drawn placard reminding block residents what Hunters Point, Sunnydale, Seminary, Eastmont, and I have always known to be fact. Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
A child's bedtime companion moved on up to the front of the house. He's on constant display like a hard plastic preening mannequin in Neiman Marcus storefront window. There in the windowsill, as a plush symbol for these strange days when breathing the air without a mask on around others is unhealthy. Little Teddy reassures us that these days don't have to be scary. He tells us non-verbally that if we stay safe, if we keep our connections, despite the isolation, despite the miles, everything will be okay.
Keep the connections.
Big brother, big business intends to make the earth theirs. Plans. Everybody's got plans to be prosperous and stay prosperous. Everybody's got plans to take more than they'd rather give. Everybody's got plans to own more than anybody should. Everybody's got plans, especially if everybody wears a suit daily, makes 7 figures yearly, and already occupies the 1%. Everybody's got plans to get richer no matter who or what they hurt. Local laws and tariffs in certain countries hurts they plans. Everybody's got plans to force pry a loophole open. Everybody's got plans to meet somewhere distant and secret. Public access and comment are denied from passing through the shut boardroom door. Arguments between companies, trade ministers over tentative plans to take privacy, neutrality, and freedom away from the electronic frontier. We're on the electronic frontier right now, just using Zoom. Drive the cost of our medicines higher, drive our wages lower, outsource work to union-crushing, child-enslaving, sea-polluting nations, send contaminated, unlabeled fish to our shores and other shores, sue governments in foreign courts over estimated money they might have made, give strong copyright protection to corporate creations, like Mickey Mouse, for example. Self-produced labors of love and culture be damned. And that's an excerpt from a long poem called Plans, the title poem for my 7th book.
Right.
All right, I got 2 more for y'all.
Good.
How y'all feeling tonight? Plastic Isle, Pachamama, Mother Earth, unleashes her scream for help straight from the Pacific Ocean, where warm Pacific water meets cooler Arctic water, slowly churning around and around and around and around, pulling into the strong current, sailing debris, disposed items, mostly polymers, mostly trapped plastic into the vortex. The artificial center surprisingly will hold and stay afloat for time indefinite, growing to a larger size infinite. The Mo City's refuse floats from 3 separate coasts: Hawaii, Japan, Hong Kong, taught to swim down fetid sewers, eventually reaching the greater ocean. Seagulls get peckish feeling in flight, spot colored wire, torn trash bags, mistaken as squirming food. Plastic Isle that should not be, testament to wastefulness, adrift at sea. And the last poem also comes out of Plans. So let me get the share screen feature going for you. Nourishment, taking nourishment from the vapor from the sky, from the clouds hovering high. Giving nourishment to the gardens, to the streets, to all men, to all beasts. Taking nourishment from the storms, from the drains, moistening land, dry as plains. Giving nourishment to the streams, to the lakes, to the grass, all it takes. The drought, persistent crisis, through winter, this state maintained. Taking vital nourishment from the freezing, fleeting rain. And the poems you just heard tonight came from my last 3 recent books. Eloi Onichi, Poems, 2013 to 2018, released Earth Day 2020, my 5th. Rusty Gallows, Passages Against Hate, released February 1st, 2022. And my 7th, Plans, from Nomadic Press, released February 5th, 2022.
Okay. Thank you. When I heard the title Plans, I knew there was something really scary going to be going on in there, and it was, and you led us through it. Thank you. Thank you.
That was my first, the first poem I've ever written about economic globalization in my life, about a real treaty, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP.
Right. Okay, let's all unmute for a bit here so that we can do some clamorous applause.
Yay!
You can feel that.
Wow.
Amorous applause.
Yes. We can do the music.
Bam.
Good. Okay. And if anybody has comments that you just need to make or things you need to say to do it now.
Thank you, Dee.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
You
Powerful.
know how to say it.
Yes.
Glad I came.
Thank you.
Okay. And
The breadth of your subject matter is astounding.
mhm.
I try my sincere best to entertain,
Mhm.
educate, and hopefully inspire. But in some people, every time I do a virtual open mic or from past experiences, in-person open mics, there would be at least several people who would find my presence down to my voice annoying.
Ooh.
That's
Not
their
here.
problem.
Yeah, this isn't that group.
Yeah.
So we just so happy you're here. And yes, the imagery from the clear gold to the teddy bear, the piccolo orso, just magnificent. You brush up against all facets of humanity. So.
At least I now know what your two favorite poems by me are.
So far.
You're not suffering alone, Dee, by the way. So, yeah.
I know that.
I'm sorry I missed the reading. I came in late. You just had a sip of water. You want to do it again?
Yeah, I'm willing to do that one again.
All
Do that
right.
one
Thank
again.
you, Dee.
And we do have Dee's presentation recorded, and it will be posted
Okay,
on
how
the
much?
library website.
Oh,
How much time do I have left, or did I just use it?
Well, you're probably at the time limit, but go ahead and read that one again. We're
Well,
flexible.
for Miss Amato's sake,
Yeah.
Yes.
here it is again.
thank
From
you.
page 22 of Eloise Onichi. This is clear gold. 71% of Earth, 60% of us. Gathering gray clouds, streaks of lightning, thunder rolls. Gaia takes another shower, cleansed each time, refreshed by this. Absorbing into leaves from rain, deer lapping it up from woodland streams, pathway to the safety of the river bottom for swimming fish. Cities steal veins, flow it through our faucets, matrix of life, sated by this. Corporations monopolize, keep private what was formerly free, sold back to us, plastic bottles of this. Fear lingers in the hearts of some who cared, and in future wars, soldiers or drones will fight to the death, the final prize. Not that, but this, clear gold. 71% of Earth, 60% of us, of greater value than any solid gold.
You're here.
Okay.
And
Thank
that
you.
poem, Miss Amato, came from this book, Eloise Onichi. From this mic to your ears, I'm Dee Allen. Thanks for listening. Happy Poetry Month.
Yes.
Thank you, Dee Allen. That was fantastic.
Yes. Joy and depth. Thank you. All right, folks, we're going to move on now